The new Ninjago season is actually so good. Genuinely, it's the best episodes I've ever seen. Now, even though I would have loved to get a throwback villain for the anniversary, it is just so good it doesn't matter. But let's get on to the video. Now, I do want to say that there are some spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the new episodes, then do before watching this, because they're just so good you can't miss them. These new episodes are absolutely peak, and since I've already highlighted the plot in my previous video, and hopefully you've already watched the new episodes as well, we can just jump up, kick back, whip around, and spin right into it. While the new season is not perfect, it's great. First of all, the fighting quality is just so much better than the rest of the show. Everything feels so fluid, and they really shake the camera to give a lot of emphasis on each of the punches, which is super cool. It makes the fighting scenes genuinely entertaining and much more dramatic throughout the show. Seriously, I gotta give props to the animators for these scenes, because this is not an easy task, and it looks way better than the start of the show, definitely. Also, there was a great use of color on the Whispering Woods. I really like how they used color to their advantage by highlighting how as the situation in the Whispering Woods became more dire, the woods became much bleaker. And at the end of it, it was almost entirely gray, showing how the woods were almost entirely lost. It's such a smart way to highlight the terrible circumstances that they were in, and I just think it's so smart, and whoever had the idea is great. Now let's talk about the characters, starting off with Frack's dad. The story of Frack's dad, as much as the pain he was, and how beyond the simple parts of like how he just doesn't want to be a father or whatever, his kind was being oppressed and thus had to work harder to provide and be a good father, and simply didn't have the ability to become a good parent. Ever since the Serpentine War, and even before that, the Serpentine were hated. After all, they always said, never trust a snake. And so it was way harder for him to be able to provide. It was basically racism, which I'm not going to delve any further into because that is an extremely touchy subject. But I think that even though Frack's dad is an extremely unlikable character, I genuinely hated every moment like he was on screen. He's still pretty deep. Only thing is that if he was a little better at being a good father and way more humble, then he would have been a great person overall. We also definitely got to talk about the villain of the episodes, Empress Beatrix. While I never liked her, I definitely like how they made it so that when she was trapped in the lane of monsters, she had to fight her way out and kill every single monster, which was way different than when Kai was trapped in the lane of monsters in Ninjago Monstrosity, where he made friends with the villains and showed how much more pure the heroes are. I also really like the idea of Imperium, since their ruler was overthrown. They were trying to create a new entire system, since they have to change their power source from dragons to actual clean energy, and they're struggling to stay afloat. I just feel like it's a very interesting way to do it, since they could have just made it Imperium have no impersonality and just be a random city with no actual story behind it. It really made you want to root for the heroes to save the city. It makes it way more interesting than some of the past cities we've seen, like Shintaro and stuff of the like. So it's super cool. Also, we have to talk about the part where Lloyd has to fight himself. Doc Wyatt literally took a page out of Monkey Kids Season 4, Episode 7, Pitiful Creatures, which I'm not complaining about, since it's always so cool watching a character both physically and mentally fight themselves, which always leads to watching an absolute peak. It's very interesting to me as well that even though Lloyd admitted his own character faults and was working towards fixing them, he still fails the ritual, just like the dragon in the Whispering Woods said. Also, I really like how Lord Ross is quietly working with his master, which I'm guessing is either Garmadon or Wu for some reason, whilst this is all going on, as if something bigger is happening behind the scenes that we simply don't know about. That actually addresses one of my main nitpicks in one of my past videos, where most things don't really correlate with other seasons, and all kind of feels just standalone. It's super interesting how Roz is doing everything secretly without letting anyone know of his true intentions. Also, we have to talk about Jay. The fact that he finally regains his memory back is great, since I didn't really like the Jay he was right back then. And also, we got the entire old crew back together with new friends too, which is so cool. I feel like LEGO really stepped up their game with this new season. And we have to talk about the ending with Sora and her parents. So as you hopefully already know, the backstory of Sora is sad, since she saw the terrible things being done to the dragons, like Ryu, and her parents didn't believe in her in favor of the good Empress Beatrix, and so she was basically isolated from society until she ran away. Her parents only come to the monastery after Beatrix was beaten again, and her parents were some of the cultists who were supporting Beatrix to the very end, and only came to the daughter when they had nowhere else to go, which is super sad. But that's all I gotta say for this video. Goodbye.